Hi, everybody. We've got a video for you today about Ceres retrograde. I'm Jamie Kale Miller of Pandora Astrology. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco.
So Ceres is the largest of the asteroids in the asteroid belt. She is in the mythology, she is a goddess of agriculture and the world of nature. You might think of her as Mother Nature, actually. She covers the things that connect us to the physical world, most particularly our physical bodies and how we can be a good steward of our physical bodies through the habits that we have, to keep ourselves in good shape. Also, the food that we eat and put into our bodies, the nutrition that we derive and how we digest that, and the money that we make to sustain our physical existence. So Ceres is very much around themes of survival and also abundance. So what could it possibly mean when Ceres goes retrograde? And also Ceres is going to be retrograde twice this year, or at least she'll be engaging in her retrograde cycle twice this year. And we're going to tell you a bit about both of them. So retrogrades, of course, now I think I'll show you the chart. Retrogrades are times when a planet in apparent motion moves backwards. Now, astrologers all know that this is a visual illusion. It's a visual illusion because there is a point of perspective needed when taking measurements. That point of perspective is on the Earth. From the Earth's view, when we look at Ceres in the sky, we see it appear to move backwards for a time. And that is a measurable phenomenon, and therefore it can be correlated to human experience observed and a body of knowledge gathered around it. So that's why astrologers use retrogradation, even though planets don't actually move backwards in their orbits. And we do know that.
Yeah.
So this diagram shows Ceres motion along the signs of the zodiac. It comes into conjunction with the sun in Aries on April 7th. And we call this Financial Epiphany Day because it's the day when Ceres is moving really fast, is moving in a direct forward motion, and meets up with the sun, which shines the spotlight of attention on Ceres matters like food, body, and money. So this is a time when finances and budgets and plans for your health routines and diets, have a tendency to be right-headed and poised to move forward at speed with few obstacles. So those sorts of things incepted when Ceres conjuncts the sun on Financial Epiphany Day, and you'll see there's one at the beginning and one at the end of this diagram, those things are really, really benefited. However, after a few months, Ceres every year will begin to slow down, and then turn retrograde. And so October 8th in 2021 is when Ceres went retrograde in the sign of Gemini. And then during its retrograde period, there is something that we like to call Financial Crisis Day, which is the day when the retrograde process of deepening and being stopped and slowed and frustrated, being forced to turn inward and look retrospectively and introspectively at your food, your body, and your money, really comes to a peak. That happens on Financial Crisis Day, and Julia will have something very interesting to say about that in a moment. And then as Ceres continues retrograde, it then finishes out its retrograde period, January 14th, by turning direct. When Ceres retrograde ends, there will usually be a couple of weeks of what we like to call the shadow period, while Ceres is still moving slowly, hasn't caught up to its usual speed yet. But when it leaves the span that it first entered into, right up here at 12 degrees of Gemini, after that, things can move forward again at a good clip, and it's a good time once again to make those plans for your diet and your self-stewardship and your finances. So if you are really, really feeling this Ceres retrograde period, you may have gotten into a bit of a tangle around your finances or your diet and eating, or how that impacts your health and the bodily habits and routines that support your health. And that process may have begun in early October. And if it did, it may have resulted from having gotten into a habit of overthinking it. And I say this because Ceres is retrograde in Gemini and then backs up into Taurus, which is actually a lot better sign for Ceres. So this, in my mind, is about having gotten into much too abstract of a place with how you think about money, like overthinking it, over abstracting it, starting to see money just as numbers on a page or on a screen, and not really thinking about the actual impact of money in your life or in the lives of other people around you. Ceres is actually in its sign of fall in Gemini. It struggles the most in Gemini. And that's because Gemini is a very cerebral and thinking air sign. And you might think that thinking about money is not a bad idea, and that's true. Being rational about money is not a bad idea, but Gemini is also very distractible and very whimsical. And what Ceres actually needs is the practical approach of Taurus, which is the sign that it rules. Ceres is, and we know this from its rulership in Taurus, it's very grounded, it's very embodied. And so what Ceres wants is to get back to the physical grounded reality of the matter without overthinking it. I think a Ceres in Gemini sometimes is a little rodent that's like worried about, like, did I save enough nuts? Here's my ledger. I've got 12 nuts and I really wanted 25 nuts. I better get back to work on those nuts. So, Julia, I would love to hear your thoughts on Ceres in Gemini retrograding into Taurus, and most particularly, what happened on Financial Crisis Day, November 26th.
Yeah. Well, I love the work that you've done with the asteroids, Jamie, because I have not yet seen too many astrologers that look and like break apart their retrograde cycles and look at them in this way. And what I'm finding so fascinating about it is, this asteroid, which represents security, and retrograde times being at times of review, or even times where we might feel more insecure about things, and that if we use that line of thinking in the sign of Gemini, it would be too heady. It would be overthinking money, or maybe having all these kind of abstract. Gemini is also a bit of a nervous sign as well. I mean, Mercury is a very fast moving bing, 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 bing planet. So it's got this kind of high strung energy to it. Gemini moons and Virgo moons can be a little bit nervous. So there could be this nervousness about security and this nervous insecurity that's all very heady. And what was very fascinating to me, and I saw it because you break these things down so well and really look at the asteroids in ways I feel like other astrologers aren't, is this Financial Crisis Day quite literally was a time that the market dropped 1,000 points out of insecurity, because I think there was an announcement the day or two before of Omicron, and then boom, the markets just went down. So I think that all that nervous kind of heady energy sort of went to a head. And I think having the resolution of Ceres being direct in Taurus, oh my God, I'm really looking forward to that. This could also be a time, thinking of the Ceres retrograde cycle, because Ceres has so much to do with food, our body, our nourishment, where we might be reviewing things we've done, like diets that we've abstracted and we thought were a really good idea, maybe something a little extreme, maybe something, that our body is not so happy about. Like maybe the body is asking, hey, I do need a little bit of animal protein, or a little, more food than what you've been giving me. Those could be other things that we're returning to in our own personal lives.
Yeah, there's a very big theme embedded in retrogrades of any planet, really, about returning to old things, digging back into some way that you used to do stuff. And I think that applies very much to this Ceres retrograde. And so I'm thinking of it as a time in which we're all called to return to fundamentals, go back to basics, back to brass tacks, and look into those, ways that we used to do things, ways that we used to run our routines, diets that we tried before, budgets that we tried before, and also return to the wisdom of our bodies. Our bodies remember a lot, they know a lot. There is kinesthetic wisdom that is real, and which Gemini might prefer to just abstract away or dissociate from, because, frankly, the air signs view the physical world as kind of distasteful.
Mhm.
Like white gloves, no thank you, no thank you. Ick. But
Yeah.
Taurus is like, this is a physical world and you've got to be that material girl in it. Right. So there is, right there is that return to the wisdom of our bodies as the bottom line, which is funny because that's a financial term, right? With numbers.
Yeah, I like that too.
Line, right? Look at the bottom line, but the bottom line really is, how does it feel to be in this body? Am I, how is this body actually digesting what I'm eating? And how does this budget, impact the feeling of security in one's actual flesh? Yeah, so I think that's what we got for you. We can look forward to the next financial epiphany day coming in July. And in the meanwhile, there are all these dates to watch and pay attention to, and notice what's happening. And if you are curious about how this lands in your own chart, most particularly what house it lands in your chart, then you can check your January 2022 horoscope, which, if it is still January at the time of your viewing this video, you can find on our monthly forecast page on our website, pandoraastrology.com. And you can find it all year on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, in the 2022 news playlist there. And if you want even more personalized advice, you can hit us up for a reading in the readings tab on our website. And until next time, see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.